Alright, Zach, hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is take number 10.
It is.
And we have just opened some non-alcoholic juice beverages.
It's margarita juice.
It's Margaritaville. And here's what we're going to do. We're both going to set these down. We're not going to drink them, okay? We're going to set these down, okay? Every time one of us goes off on a bit, we have to take a drink.
And every time we kiss, I swear we could
God,
fly.
no! Oh, that's delicious. Okay, we're on the rails.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna be on the rail. We're calling our shots. We're calling our shots. Howard. This is Howard.
Hi.
This is Howard. My shots.
Hi, Howard.
Howard D's nuts.
A little too salty.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about the ligmatantine on air. We gotta talk about the ligmatantine. But not today. Not today. Not today, Stan.
We're a minute in. Jeez.
We're stone cold sober.
I just took my first sip.
Oh, man.
It's only gonna be downhill from here.
Oh.
It's gonna be one of the most family episodes we've ever recorded.
Yeah, correct. Because we're in the same room right now.
And not only that, this is not like a structured theory. We are calling our shots on the rest of House of the Dragons.
Yeah.
By the way, if you don't want House of the Dragon spoilers, don't watch this video.
This is
we're wrong about everything. Then you can watch this video.
Yeah, as we know, we're only going to be wrong about 49% of it.
Yes.
Because we gotta come out ahead.
Yes.
Is that funny? I don't know. So we're gonna try to make like a timeline of events on the page here. Okay, we're gonna move through them, and we're gonna talk about what we think are gonna be the changes.
Yes, and also the way, if you haven't read Fire and Blood, I highly recommend it. It's very good. What I would say is almost everything is written in a way that does not give certainty.
Don't look at me like that.
Why?
It's not my fault.
So there's very little certainty for a lot of the major events. There's conflicting reports, and some of them are like outrageous. And the show has added things in that are even more conspiratorial than what the book establishes. So like there's a fake out death that was in the books.
Yeah.
There's a mass casualty event that is not mentioned in the books.
Which is just wild, especially given how the showrunners, for some reason, continue to shoot themselves in the feet by having these stupid post-show interviews.
Yes.
Where they're like, no, she kind of forgot they were civilians. I'm like, what do you mean?
She kind of forgot.
What do you mean they're Game of Thrones civilians and they don't count? Tell me what that means. Themes are for 8th grade book reports. Let's write one. Let's start with the inciting incident. Zach, what's the inciting incident? The last thing to happen in season 1.
Spoilers.
Spoilers
from
start
here on out.
right now.
For the inciting incident, this whole thing could have probably been talked down were it not for death. Dies. There's the first dance of dragons. One of those dragons is very, 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 very old, and the other is very, 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 very tiny, small, older one. That is Vagar, and what's the other dragon?
Tyraxes?
Tyraxes.
Saria. No, not Saria.
It's not
you do a bit. I'm gonna find dragon names.
I'm bad with dragon names that aren't like really cool, like Dreamfire.
Basically,
Basically, I'll remember the more likely you're. What, you don't like Dreamfire as a dragon name?
About to be dragon names through the mud.
The more
we gotta have face cam.
Close.
Zach just like looked up at me and he saw me laughing. Like, what? What?
Heard the joke. There was a look of disgust. Yeah. You hear the bottle caps flying? There we go.
Yeah. Thank you for your patronage to a vault dweller. I'll find dragon.
It's Vagar eats. Yeah, it's the same.
Hey, I'm finding dragon names. You can't stop
Wait,
talking
no,
while
sorry.
I'm finding dragon names.
Arax.
Arax is dragon. Okay. Yeah. While that is happening,
so that is a like critical turning point where the war cannot be avoided in a like it is inevitable at that point that a conflict is going to brew because a serious casualty has been taken by one of the and they're going to pay for second there and fire yeah
fire and blood.
So that is where we leave off. That is literally like the last scene of the show.
Yep.
You're let to simmer on that.
Yeah. Some notable differences, and this is why I'm so excited for the show. There are some very interesting, very notable differences between the way that happens in the book and the way that happens in the show.
Yeah.
First off, in the book, they actually cut my favorite scene. They cut my favorite scene in maybe the entire series, which was the like political display in Storm's End. They decided to swap that out for just Lord Baratheon meeting them solo, which is fine. It then appears that Vagar ate Lucerys and Arax sort of without permission, like without like waiting for a leave.
But meanwhile, in the books, Lord Baratheon's like, you can follow him if you want.
Yeah.
He's way more complicit. Which is interesting because that's pushing the narrative that there were some outside political forces that had hedged their bets on this conflict. Like, the Lord of Storm's End was itching for a fight. That there was some sort of retribution on it or some end game, which outside of Larry's Clubfoot, we don't see a ton of people who are in Otto Hightower, but he's way more tied in family-wise. We don't see a lot of obvious evidence that there are outside forces who are like, hell yeah, let's have a war happen, like you do.
Yeah, like the books almost have like this. One of the common narratives pre-World War One, about the pre-World War One world is that many of the major powers were like looking for a fight. They were looking to test out these great militaries that they had built up against real opponents. And there's a bit of a sense of that in the books. That doesn't appear to be the case in the show. It appears in the show that everyone doesn't want war.
Yeah.
Except maybe Daemon, because Daemon's Daemon.
And Otto, because he feels like the ends justify the means, and Clubfoot, because he wants to essentially politically game it out. And that is like, and even then, those are kind of muted. Like, you don't see Otto being like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to kill all these Targaryens.
Oh boy, here I go killing again."
Yeah. So this is interesting because instead of it being the inevitable first shot, it is, and also we get it from Aemon's perspective that he was not going in for the kill intention.
Yeah,
he just forgot that he had to speak High Valyrian Dragon that, and he like mortified that he ended up killing him. Goal was to scare him off, apparently, or to. That makes it seem like in the books it's the inevitable. They were gonna cross paths and somebody was gonna die, and it just drew the short straw on that.
Yep.
This comes a lot as like an accidental first shot.
Yeah.
I just started a war. Oh shit.
Yeah. That's exactly the oh shit look.
Yeah.
On Aemon's face, like, is maybe one of my single favorite frames in all of like maybe my favorite shot in all of Game of Thrones. Like, what challenge is it? Maybe okay, like the upshot like underneath Ned as he's getting.
That's exactly the one I was thinking of.
That's a good one.
As cheesy and over the top as it is on its own, it's earned. But John holding Ygritte, is that, like, you worked for that one. You deserve that beautiful painting of them in the middle of the battle. In season 8, that would happen to somebody John met 3 episodes prior and had sex with after me.
Yeah, correct. Now I do have one. I want to give like a little bit of credit to season 8. One of my favorite frames is from season 8. The reverse shot when Jaime rides into Winterfell, and we get Bran, who has been sitting there all episode. And these episodes are 75 minutes at this point, which is like 30 minutes too long, by the way. Which is like 75 minutes long, by the way, but that's fine. He's been sitting there all episode, and he keeps on saying cryptically, "I'm just waiting. Yeah, I'm just hanging out here. This is where I need to be." And then Jaime rides in, and they meet eyes across the courtyard, and we get like the shot of the two of them. Very good. Maybe last good scene? Who's to say?
Probably last good scene.
The last good scene we're going to talk about, that's for sure.
And for the rest of the show, there was not a scene that like they thought about the shot composition.
That's for sure.
What's I gonna say?
No, they did think about that one with Daenerys with the dragon behind her. They did think about that one.
They thought wrong.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
There's 2 kinds of bad scenes in season 8. There's nobody thought about this scene, and the absolute wrong person thought every wrong thing about this scene.
Yeah, like
and won every argument about it.
It is clear to me that you thought about whether you were sober enough to drive.
The funny thing is, Game of Thrones, especially in the later seasons, is one of the rare examples of HBO not fighting their programs tooth and nail over control over what happens in the story. And they're going to learn from that. Oh, we were right to always do that shit. Like, the one time you don't, like, give somebody shit about, something, they immediately screw it up, you're going to reinforce that behavior. Like, I'm reading through, I read through a book about the creation of The Wire, and, like, every good decision they had on The Wire, they had to argue with HBO about, because they're like, I don't know if anybody's going to like that. Like, you have to trust us. We know our audience. Finally, they let up, and then season 8. They're like, okay, you know what? Fine. You know you're... Oh, fucking Lord, never mind.
No, turns out it was you that was the problem. HBO was correct.
Yes.
The whole time. Zach, what happens next?
So, there's a little bit in the books about the political implications of this, but it's almost an immediate turnaround to Blood and Cheese. Spoilers.
Spoilers, guys, for real. All right, here we go.
Now, I want to say, I don't think we're getting directly to Blood and Cheese. I think there might be an episode of and I want to talk about what that might look like in the show. Because I think we have got none of the fallout of Viserys' death. And I think the political... I think Blood and Cheese will either be in the second episode or at the very end of the first episode after we see political debate as to how to respond. Because this scene is going to be more powerful the more they think about it beforehand, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This is... if Lucerys' death guaranteed war, this guarantees a massacre. This guarantees that there is no way the other side is winning anything but a total victory.
Yep. There is no... Lucerys' death guarantees war. Blood and Cheese guarantees total war.
Yes.
Right. There is nothing that anyone can do.
There's no way to negotiate. One side, everybody is dying. The other side is the one. And that is the mentality both of them are going to go into after this. Watching them debate how to respond, what I think is going to happen is they're going to debate how to respond. They're going to, like, come up with things of varying proportions. trying to make it equal. And then one of them, probably Damon, but Rainier says, I want him to hurt. I want him to bleed. Whatever we can do to them now, let's do it. And then, and maybe, I think the more compelling thing is, everybody offers these more measured responses, and Rhaenyra, who's just lost one of her children, says, I want them to feel my pain. I want them to feel it now. And then says that to Damon, who's like, okay, I got some ideas. And then,
like the sweetheart, I've been waiting for you to say that for 10 years.
and honestly, he might be the one saying, like, let's get a military victory out of this. Let's use this as, burn something down.
Yeah, right. We can go roast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They keep the fleet right outside of King's Landing. Just fly over there and burn it. Sort of. But if she's like, I want blood, I want them to suffer what I'm suffering through, I think Damon's one who could say, well, we can just whack some children.
What do you think of the idea?
For those who don't know, Blood and Cheese is when...
Yeah, I was kind of enjoying what we were really kind of talking around it.
Yeah.
And, like, okay, I see you. You're still here. You haven't watched... You haven't read it. You don't know what's going to happen. I see you. Are you okay with still leaving it just a hair ambiguous? Just a hair? Just a hair ambiguous? Right, like, it's not hard for you to figure out. But leaving it a little ambiguous is... Man, that's gonna make it... Yeah. Like, for real, if you don't have it spoiled for you yet, don't spoil it for yourself. It's one of the most... I think it's gonna be one of the most dramatic pieces of television ever. I think it's gonna be amazing. I think it is going to be the highlight or the low light of the entire show, depending on how you... on it. Do you agree? Or do you think it's gonna be like a quick and dirty thing? I think we're gonna spend like 10 full minutes in that scene.
It has to be shot like a home film. Right?
Yes.
It's described like that. People are bound and gagged and like made to witness this.
Oh God, Helena! I love her.
Yeah,
she's so wonderful. I love Weird Bug Girl.
By the books, Helena and Alicent are tied up and gagged during this murder, and that can only be shown, like, they cannot speed through this. It has to be a slow, agonizing scene.
Oh God.
And I think so. In the books, Damon was not in the same place as Rainier.
Yeah.
So.
I think we can probably put that down.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly the order of these, but Damon takes Harry. Is for sure gonna happen. We also skipped one, sort of. So I'll put that down here. We'll assume that goes in that order.
That's flying up to the north, right?
Yes. Jace secures the Eyrie. Secures the Eyrie.
Then flies up to the north to Arcs.
Probably down here. Because I imagine that this is going to be 2.
I think that I think they'll switch things around, and Blood and Cheese has to be a immediate response. It has to be to make the most compelling writing out of it. You need to see somebody who is incapable of processing what they're going through make a rash and horrible decision, and I think you cheapen that with an episode in between where the actual politics plays out.
Yeah, I think we do this, right? This is the end of the first episode here, I think. Yeah. And this goes into here to our... Damon takes Harren home.
Now I need to talk about whether Sarah Snow is real.
I think Sarah Snow.
I think they're gay.
You think
that Cregan Stark was gay as fuck for Jace.
You think Brandon and Jace are up there making out, and that's why he's so pissed.
Brandon.
That's why he's so excited to
Brandon, rather, yes.
What did I say?
Wait, you said Brandon? Was it Cregan?
I think it's Cregan.
Yeah, Cregan's the young one. There's always a Brandon hanging out there too, so he could also be gay for Brandon. We just haven't met Brandon yet.
I don't have a problem. Well, I mean, so what you're saying is that
time traveling Bran fucked Jace.
What you're saying is that Jace is the Knight of the Laughing Tree, and he made out with Brandon.
Yes.
At Harrenhal.
That's correct. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Cregan and Jace being a item is actually more likely than Sarah Snow. And I know that's a popular thing.
Interesting. I could buy that. I could buy that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I do buy that.
If Sarah Snow shows up, I will be like, okay, Sarah Snow exists.
But like, that would be such an interesting, twist, because then we would need to see the character of Sarah Snow manufactured, and that's just a weird scene to.
Well, he could just say, no, I have a girlfriend who lives in Canada. I mean, North. That's perfectly fine.
No, we can't get back on the Canada bits. No, we spent at least 2 outtakes on the Canada bits.
That's true.
But
we wasted a good time on that one there.
Mm-hmm.
So
how many dragon eggs are in Winterfell following this?
Oh yeah, the dragon lays eggs in Winterfell. Yeah. Another plot point that's gonna have to happen.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so there's some interesting things we have to talk about with the Targaryens interacting.
Yes.
Because Viserys knew about the White Walkers. Rhaenyra knows that Viserys knew about the White Walkers. Does Jace know about the White Walkers?
That's tough to say whether he passed it on or not. She passed it.
Does Rhaenyra ever meet Cregan Stark? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, because Cregan musters all of his men. It's during the winter when Maine must be getting. We're moving our jank mic setup around. Sorry if it's making noise.
I'm not. Watch.
So, if Cregan and Rhaenyra never meet, they don't have a talk about the others, or the White Walkers. So, they don't share that information. But it's also, it may be the case that there was a Stark sharing of that knowledge, pretty broken by. I always think about this. It was passed on from heir to heir. It was lost the second Ned lost his father and older brother at a young age at the same time.
Yep, absolutely. This argument is made about the Targaryen line of succession some of the time too.
Yeah.
Because Viserys has this knowledge, but it does not appear that Egg or Aemon do.
Or it could have been spring sickness, or maybe they did and it was lost at Summerhall. Or maybe the Mad King decided to not pass it along. Or maybe the Mad King and Rhaegar dying in quick proximity passed on to a very young Viserys III.
It's amazing how much of this series could be fixed with a couple of conversations.
Or Post-it note.
Yeah. Yeah, if only someone, carved this whole problem into a knife somewhere and just left it around, that would really fix a lot of things. What the hell? Is that a pothole? I don't think
dumb.
So. It's a little silly.
I don't think it's a plot hole, and even that, you can have a plot hole that's good as long as the story can still be good. There are some scenes that are just an insult to your audience the second you write them, and that's one of them. It was wonderful plot hole. I was watching Jurassic Park with my mom the other day, and
respectable.
We've talked a lot about those.
We have an entire video series on the second channel about them,
and on this channel. But yes, because the Jurassic Worlds are on the other. Jurassic Park's on this one. That was the early before we knew Song of Ice and Fire on this channel. The consistency of the height of the T-Rex paddock in the same scene is wrong.
It's insane. It goes from standing next to the fence to a 200-foot chasm.
To an 8-foot chasm. Multiple times over, it changes how much of a fall it is. And that is fucking just an absolute plot hole. The movie is awesome.
Yeah.
You can have something that is not a plot hole. Like, that knife can have the prophecy on it. The problem is, you are literally spelling it out to the audience in, like, an insulting...
I don't know. I kind of ate it up. I don't know. Maybe that scene was for me.
The show became more and more talking down to its audience as it like went on. But then again, people were also watching it in bars and cheering along, so it's not really the best like depthful comedy. You can't do that with like I don't know, a Better Call Saul or The Wire or something. Nobody was watching The Sopranos. Like, yeah, Tony, you're going to therapy.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony.
That's the writing I want to see them avoid on this show.
Hey.
The like made for people to watch in bars
Hey,
style.
Tony, go eat your Kellogg's. Anyway,
What's wrong, Tony?
What do you mean? Isn't that Tony? Is Tony the Tiger from The Sopranos?
Tony the Tiger running the mob in The Sopranos. Great.
That sounds like something they would do on Robot Chicken.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tony, what do you think about this Coke? It's great.
I want to go home. Zach, we're through the second episode
of the second season when we said we'd spoil the entire show.
We'll just do the second season. What do you say we do the second season today?
Okay, and if anybody watches this, we'll do 3.
Yeah, okay. All right, Zach, what happens next? Hang on. If we're doing just the second season, like, you know what? I'm going to get some spoilers for myself. I'm going to do it. Go ahead. You give us the next
So
part.
I'm thinking, the Civil War in the Riverlands basically breaks out. The river houses are divided. We get Muppet Tullies, and we get the Brackens and the Blackwoods fighting each other. A lot of fighting around Harrenhal. And there's the Battle of the Burning Mill that happens right around then.
Yeah. All right, hang on. Let's get a couple of these in. Make sure we get the timeline right.
So Harrenhal is taken without bloodshed. So somebody shows up with a dragon, and that's all she wrote.
Yep. Not much to do.
The Lord of Blackwood and a Knight of Brackenhouse die in this battle, and it's like the first outside of the Targaryen family line bloodshed that happens here, which again makes the war like irreversible in another level. This will not only be a fight between the Targaryens, the realm will bleed. People are taking sides.
Battle of the Burning Mill.
This technically, I think, takes place earlier in the books, but you know, show-wise, this has to be first season 2.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've already set up the Brackens and Blackwoods fighting in the show. So it would be weird.
That fucking insane scene. Fucking batshit scene,
yes.
Man. Oh my god. Just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen is that Rhaenyra walks away from these two people fighting. One of them cuts the other throat. Cuts the other's stomach open, right? And then the audience cheers, which is bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, don't stab people in the stomach for being mean to you.
Yes.
And then Kristen, like takes her by the shoulders, like, "Come on, princess, let's go." No, let's not go. Let's not go, Rhaenyra. No, let's not go. This is your fault. This is your fault. It is literally your job to pass judgment on these people. You can't. What do you do when you're leaving? What do you mean you're leaving? Grab him.
Yeah. You need to stop the murder that just took place.
Yeah.
Come on. You have authority.
Come on, Ned. It is your job to cut him in half right now.
Speaking of people who were there for that scene, the next thing is the political turmoil in Landing, because Otto Hightower gets bounced out for not making political moves to the of Aegon. He gets replaced with Kristen Cole, who, as we find out, also will have problems as Hand of the King. But the problem is he fails to he does not consolidate power in the Reach, and there's fighting going on there, which is one of the big things he, as the Hightower Lord, has the ability to sway is other houses in the Reach. He fails to get the Greyjoys on their side, and he reaches out to the Triarchy across the Narrow Sea, saying, "Will you support us?" And I think they eventually say yes, but they have a weird bureaucracy that it has to go through, so it gets held up in debate, and they aren't moving on it. And in frustration, Otto gets kicked out of his position as king,
Yeah.
and Kristen Cole takes over.
What happens to Otto for the rest of the?
I believe, I don't know if he is arrested here or not, but he's most of it. Sure.
Oh, okay.
I think he spends a lot of it in prison.
Zach, I'm having a little bit of trouble picking.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, Kristen immediately escalates the war in an absurd degree. Anybody who refused to treat him is considered as if they are on the other side. Basically, you're either with us or against us, and if you're against us, we're killing you. And all the people who are even neutral in King's Landing are getting imprisoned, and in some cases executed. And the ones in the Crown Lands who are hemming and hawing or supporting the other side, they get executed too. It says that I'm refreshing myself on the wiki here. Only the Butterwells, the Stokeworks, and the Rosbys bend the knee, because the Crown Lands were one of the areas where was pre-work that ZT did, Rainier inherited. They were some of the first lords to swear fealty.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a slaughter of anybody who is neutral or against crown. By their look, been crowned king, claim you're neutral in a civil war. You're not really neutral. You're breaking the law. Breaking the law. Support the king. Swear fealty. So we're gonna go head chopped off, which. But again, I think season 2 is going to. I think we're going to see potential off ramps get shut down through the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 2. It's mostly this was a chance to de-escalate, and at the wrong time, the worst person ends up in power and escalates instead.
Yeah, the not good person starts making.
Yes.
And I think that this gets worse. After, by the way, I've looked up some of the spoilers for season 2, just the episode titles. I did not know this. We just have 2 episode titles.
What are they?
Season 2. They are, the first episode is called A Son for a Son.
Okay, Blood and Cheese happens in the first episode.
Yes.
It has to be.
It has to be the last scene of the first episode. Yes.
So I think the prediction of its political deliberations of how to respond, and then in a moment of weakness, either Daemon just says, "Nah, fuck it, I'm killing him," or in a moment of weakness, Rhaenyra says, "You do whatever makes them feel the pain I'm feeling," and Daemon says, "Kill a kid. I heard you loud and clear. How dead do you want that kid?"
I also think that there is a meaningful possibility of it being incepted by a third party into their crew, which I think is an interesting sort of counter proposal. So we only have one other one, episode 4, and I think that that's where we've gotten to, right? I think that this is episode 1. Daemon takes Harrenhal and Jace secures the north, and maybe ending with the Battle of the Burning Mill. And then either ending or starting with the Battle of the Burning Mill is episode 3, and then politics. Lots of politics in episode 3. It's traditional in Game of Thrones for politics to happen on episode 3 of a season. That's not a bit. You can go check.
Yes. It's kind of necessary.
There's only 8 episodes this season. So the mid-season, not finale, but the one in the middle is the only other one that we have a name for, and I think that that's going to be another of my favorite scenes. This episode is called A Dance of Dragons. And I think that that is going to be the battle. What's the name of the battle? Help me. What's the name of the battle?
I know the one.
You know what? I don't know the name of it. I'm just gonna spoil it.
Is it the Red Grass or?
No, the Red Grass Field is
the Red Grass Field.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is the battle where
the Rook's Rest.
I don't remember. You're gonna yell at me in the comments. This is the one where hang on, where Rhaenys.
Yes, that's Rook's Rest.
Tragically dies.
And where this is where I want to paint my picture, which is
I'm gonna you go
right.
I
want to connect the thread from Kristen Cole taking over to this episode.
Okay. Because
what Otto is gonna say, Otto is not just treating with his king, he's treating with his grandson. Talks to right?
Yeah.
He's gonna be insanely protective of his grandkid. Who had a good family upbringing experience. Your grandparents love the shit out of you. You want to see any harm to come to you. And there's a fucking war where Targaryens are dying, and he's going to be like, you need to stay safe and let other people do fighting. He's young and ambitious and kind of a fuck up, and he's going to say, no, I want to be out there riding on my dragon and killing these fucking traitors. And you know who's going to be all about that is Kristen Cole. He's going to be like, yeah, you do, man. Yeah, you are the one who should be out there flying your dragon and slaughtering all these people, all of them, and showing them who's boss. And that is going to be, I think, one of the things that leads to the replacement. It's not just the political stuff. That's the cover. It's the vibes, right? You're a grandpa, and you're trying to keep me safe in a time of war. Kristen Cole bought me 2 things a Natty Light, and we partied, and we determined that I can solve this problem with my fists and my dragon.
Yeah.
And he is going to say, you get out there, you get on Sunfire, and you fuck them up. And that will lead to the Battle of Rook's Rest,
where an Otto Hightower is fired, and then perhaps in the next scene they ride off for the Battle of Rook's Rest in the next episode,
which will probably be the whole episode.
Might be the whole episode, right?
And then they go into a big dramatic battle, and Rhaenys tragically dies fighting him.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about Rhaenys. I want to talk about fucking Rhaenys. Oh my god. She doesn't know her kid's alive?
She's going to die not knowing that.
In the book, so this is one of the 2 major consequences of the Battle of Rook's Rest. Rhaenys Targaryen and Meleys, M-E-L-E-Y-S?
Sounds right to me.
Is one of the 2 major consequences. In the book, she is, frankly, she is fully given up on life at this point.
Yeah.
Because both of her kids are dead.
Her kids are dead. Her claim to the throne is never getting pressed. And I think she's picked up on the fact that her husband has not been faithful either.
I think that we will see that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she is not really happy with her lot in life, and she goes into this battle wanting to. She loves Rhaenys, and that gives her something to fight for. And
in the book, yes. In the movie, in the show, there is still some serious tension between the 2 of them because she thinks Rhaenyra killed her kid,
which will be different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is interesting and different because in the book, Rhaenyra might actually have killed her kid.
Yes.
But we'll come back to that. Is she going to die? And in the book, she has this glorious, tragic last stand. where she and Melee's going to battle against Vagar, and then Sunfire? Sunfire.
Yes.
Sunfire rocks up,
Yes.
and they just tear Melee's apart.
2-1 with one of them being Vagar. It's not fair.
However, what is the other major consequence of the Battle of Rook's Rest, Zach?
Aemon and Sunfire are grievously injured, and this is the like 1-2 punch I think you're gonna get. Is you're gonna see Aegon II and Kristen Cole confident now that they've gotten rid of the doting old man who's trying to play it safe and play it political, and they just go and fight. I want to talk about the casualty numbers in this.
Oh, okay.
And the wiki backs us up. As far as actually losing soldiers, the Blacks only lose 100 of their troops. 800 die on the green side. It is actually like other than killing a dragon and killing Rhaenys, it is by all other accounts not like a great battle logistics sense, right? You need human bodies to throw at the opponent part of war. They are losing people 8-1. And that's a fucking slaughter if you're losing to your opponents. That is like the end of World War II when the countries were actively collapsing level of like death toll.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in that battle? Like, what is that going to look like? Are they going to get flamed up, or is it going to be they basically fuck off and do their dragon fight and nobody's commanding their troops? Meanwhile, on the ground for Rhaenyra's faction, it's going to be, oh yeah, we're easily have leaders here telling us what to do, and we're ignoring the fuck off dragon fight over.
Okay, see, that's very interesting. It's very interesting that, cause like, dragons are real good at a couple of things.
Yeah,
they are real good at fast travel. They are real good at PvE, right?
Yeah.
They're real good at taking out structures. And they're real good at cleanup. Vagar can take out 2,000 people.
Which is interesting.
Like a couple good stretches.
Which is interesting that Vagar doesn't do that.
Yes.
And here's my thought. In the show, it's going to be dogfight between Rhaenys and Aegon II on their dragons, where she is winning most of the way through. And then we get a Jaws style shot of Vagar just coming in, killing her straight up. It's just going to be the best dragon versus dragon fight you've seen, with an anti-climax of the big dragon coming, fucking up her dragon.
Interesting. Because in the book, it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of a stand-up fight where Vagar outmatches Melee's by like 25%, 40%. But Aemond is so much less skilled of a rider. Melee's and Rhaenys are able to hold their own until Aegon shows up and she loses all her.
I think because of the way they've written the characters, they're going to invert that. Because they've made Aemond actually competent, not a shitty person, but he's constantly, like, he is his own worst enemy, and, like, all of his problems are when he loses control. Otherwise, he's very competent. And they've made Aegon II just the most horrible, fuck-up, terrible person you could imagine.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that he will struggle, and Aemond will have to bail him out, and then they're going to look down at the battlefield, realize they have already lost, and all they can do is, like, burn the survivors. And Aemond is going to say, not this time.
Like, and Aemond pulls Aegon onto Vagar, and they fuck all the way off.
And Aegon's going to say, slaughter everybody else first. I'll be fine. And he's like, no, you're my brother, and I need to get you to safety. And that's why we don't have a burning of troops afterwards. He's doing the right thing and not the politically and militarily correct thing of clean up the survivors by burning them all. And so they lose the battle because brother's life.
Sure, I like that. I like that as an ending to that battle. It does clear up that inconsistency. Aemon did not clear up because he had to get Aegon out.
Yeah, I would rather you live than I burn however many.
I think that scene of Aemon like pulling his brother's charred body up and like hoisting him onto the dragon. I think that's going to be the last scene, maybe the last shot of the fourth.
I agree.
Fantastic. All right, what's next? This is fun.
This is fun.
This is a good one.
It's going to be great if we're right about all this, and hilarious if we're wrong about all.
Yeah, if they just go completely sideways, cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be excited about that too. I want to talk about this for a second. I hate people who get mad at shows because they're different. I don't know if I've talked about this on stream. I watched the new Yu Yu Hakusho show.
Yeah.
And if you are looking for an adaptation of the manga or anime, Yu Yu Hakusho, you're not gonna have a good time. Because it's only like 5.5 hours long. And the Yu Yu Hakusho anime has maybe like 600 hours?
Yeah.
So maybe more?
When you adapt something, what I care is you get the spirit of it, and it's also independently.
Yes.
And well, this is obviously going in a very different direction. This has the spirit of the book.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lens on a painful conflict made inevitable that under a better system would have been avoidable. This is better than a lot of political texts, an indictment of how feudalism works.
Yes.
And they're doing, in their own way, with some differences, an examination of that. And they're showing how, and like, even though we see Rhaenyra's perspective where the common folk like fucking comically hate her, resents that is a problem with feudalism that we're just getting through her lens, which is the people don't feel represented. The people don't feel represented by this person who they didn't get to pick. And of course they're going to be shitty about it because they live under an autocracy where their leader was picked when she was a fucking teenager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't hate you, Rhaenyra. They hate everything that this is, and you are the outlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
They hate the fact that they don't get to pick their government, and you are set up to be the next government.
You are not a governmental representative. You are the government.
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about some of my favorite scenes. I think are coming up in the next like
we did
2
skip
or 3.
that before.
Oh, okay.
It does not that important because it probably won't be a huge scene. Duskendale is sieged right before Rook's arrest, but it's like a 1-2 punch. They rock up, sack Duskendale, and then they go to the Battle of Rook's Rest. That's the first serious, like, battle that has dragons in it. So, I think you're right. That's episode 4.
I think maybe that's the beginning of episode 4.
I think it's all of that, but no, I think Duskendale is at the end of 3 or beginning of 4. They say Duskendale.
Oh, you think that it's just sort of like an offhanded remark at the beginning of episode 4, maybe?
Yeah,
or maybe a cold open with them taking Duskendale.
Well, and it's brutal. Like, Harrenhal is taken peacefully. When they sack Duskendale, Gunther Darkland dies, and there are heavy losses. Well, meanwhile, the Greens and Kristen Cole take very few losses, which makes me think this is a slaughter. Like, it might even be the case that they put up like the mildest resistance, then start to surrender, and then Kristen Cole says you should have thought about that before you should have thought about that before you betrayed your king. You're all dying. Yeah.
I love him in the show so much more than I do in the book.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit in both.
Yeah, but in the book, he at least appears to be a politician, right? He's a brutal politician, but he's
competent in a military sense in the same way that generals in World War I were. They earned their spot up there.
Yeah.
All the people had military on, and they just didn't realize they were going to cause the largest humanitarian disaster because
up to that point.
Up to that point, there was a sequel, but they if you say, well, we're going to fight really hard so we can win this war in 6 months, right? That's how long great power conflicts lasted at that. And we're losing. We got to find another way. Belgium's right there. Like they rationalized their way into horrible, terrible, unforgivable decisions because they had this like false sense of we can knock them out early. And Kristen Cole is very similar in my like mindset of how they're gonna write him. Or like that was how I viewed him in the books too.
Yeah.
We're losing this war every second we let there be a dispute about who the king is. Let's go kill her, and then the war is over. It's his mindset, my reading of it. And that is precisely the thing that leads him to be War Crimes McGee for the rest of the book.
Because once you're war crime, once you've tried to end it quickly with unmatchable brutality, once you've done that and it hasn't worked,
what are you gonna double the brutality?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Go back?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially if you said I can end this war quickly, and when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
When all you have is slaughtering your opponents, and the war's still not over, Kristen. We're still fighting it. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna be even more brutal, and maybe you'll watch it spiral out of control for him. And I think it'll lead to a very satisfying scene when he gets his weapons, which might be the end of this season.
Yes. I'm still committed to my theory on his death. We'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there. Spoilers, by the way.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Okay. All right. Let's continue. What do we think is episode 5 going to look like?
Pulling up the timeline again.
Yeah. Because I think that I don't know if it is going to be at this moment.
I was thinking the Red Fork. The next is the Dragon Seed.
Yes, this is exactly what I was hoping.
They've been cast, so we know this is happening. This is where they say, they bring this up in the show already. We have more dragons in them.
Yeah.
They do not have many more riders, so they need people to get on these dragons that are sitting around, don't have a current rider, and they also have a few sheep stealers. Basically,
yeah,
they're looking to get as many dragons as they can. That is the advantage, like the most pertinent. This is gonna be. I think there's gonna be a nice contrast here of like the Greens like working on a military mindset of like let's win now, let's go fight these battles, go kill these neutral and traitor lords, like make it clear what happens if you're not on our side. And you're going to see the opposite, where Rainier is holding these actual council meetings. What's the most effective thing we can do now to win here because we're in this for the long haul? Mm-hmm. Somebody says, how many more dragons can we get in tomorrow? Hard cut to the dragon seed being gathered.
Yes. So we are going to be introduced to Adam and Alan of Hull. We are going to be introduced to Nettles.
Yes.
We're going to be introduced to Hugh Hammer.
My boy Hugh!
And Ulf White.
My boy Ulf! I am so pumped for those
I'm so stoked.
They're going to be my favorite characters if they nail the casting and acting.
Yeah, it's going to be so good.
They're going to be my favorites.
I'm so excited.
Those two will be my problematic faves.
Are we going to get mushroom, Zach? Is there going to be a mushroom? I want a mushroom.
I think mushroom will show up.
Mushroom, like, bringing a sense of levity to the sowing of the seeds is going to make me so happy.
Yeah, because we also, like, presumably, I think we're going to have some scenes. We just know they went in and claimed these dragons. I think there's some mention of some people who it didn't quite work out for.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get, like, a darkly comedic. Yeah. This person's like, I'm the bastard son of Aegon the Conqueror, or, like, you know, the bastard grandson of Aegon the Conqueror, or something like that.
Oh yes, I'll have you know.
Your age is a little off for that. Oh, no worries. And then he goes in, just immediately gets toasted.
Gaemon the Glorious gave me this brooch himself. It was passed from my father and from his father and from his father. and then he gets roasted.
Does that dragon have 4 heads on it? It's like scrubbing one out.
Look, it's not my fault. I'm balding. My foreheads are just fine. Anyway,
why is it pink and gray instead of black and red?
The blacks go from how many dragons? 2?
They have Daemon,
Yeah,
Rhaenyra, and
who I don't think we're counting. I don't think that they count them in the official tallies. You go from 2 dragons to 1, 2, 3, 4 to 6 to 6, and we will get more from Baela.
Yes.
We'll get more from Baela later, but I don't believe that she comes into conflict until season 3. Cool, and I think that's probably going to be it's going to be that and like politics on the Greens. Right, it's going to be this intercut with Aegon recovering.
Aegon recovering, and also him hearing that like Kristen Cole's out there slaughtering and him good, and I think you're going to have Aemond in there with the rest of the small council being like not winning, or he's making us more.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Right, and we're going to start to see the seeds of what happens all the way at the end of the conflict start to take root here.
Yeah. Yeah. Where he is like at this point already like end of World War II, like losing his mind. I can't lose this conflict. He has been personally wounded by it. Making like irrational decisions and screaming at people for like telling him, hey, let's do this rational thing instead, sort of dictators when they're losing a war sort of reality. We're going to see that at a time in a small council. We can't have this lead. Like, this is going to be dangerous for everyone involved. And Aemon might be one of the first people to like talk to some of the rest of the small. We'll have one of the Lannisters there being like, yeah, I'm not really sold on him his leadership style here. And honestly, I liked it better when Otto was in charge.
I love those two so much.
Yes.
that actor, oh god, it's so good. Okay. When do Eric and Eric die?
This is right around the same time. They will fight. I think that did I skip that? I might have. Yeah, that would be right. But I think that's right before us. So that might be the end of episode 3.
Okay.
Is the Farewell My Brother battle, where the Cargills fight each other. That timeline wise is right before episode 4 would take place.
Okay, so we'll put it right in. Another scene that I think is just going to be. So is that going to be right before the Battle of Rook's Rest?
I think so. I think that'll be the end of episode 3.
All right. So keep us going. What happens after this? Take us into episode 6.
Right after is the Battle of the Gullet, which is going to be heartbreaking.
I think that's going to be right at the end of the episode. I think it's going to be pretty short. And
honestly, there might be enough politics for this last episode, but it's hard to tell.
Let's see what happens at the end. They might also redo the timeline a little bit and put that later in the content.
Yeah.
So that it can fit at the end, but we'll see.
How this goes is they make their first massive dragon assault, and it is a disaster for all involved. So the Triarchy gets involved in the war and attacks Driftmark. And this is the Gullet is blockaded by the Valyrians, who are of course the first supporters of Rhaenyra. And in the books, in the show, I think just enough of a thing out for Rhaenys's dragon thing rise. the battle with the Triarchy here. They command ships. They go and try and take Gullet back. And Corliss leads this battle against, but they bring in the dragons. Dragons are great fire down. This goes not great for them because they lose 2 dragons in this. Lose 1 son. I think they lose 2.
2 dragons?
Stormcloud also dies in this battle.
Oh, I forgot about Storm. I forgot. Yeah. I forgot to count him. Yeah.
Vermax and Stormcloud both die. And Jace, Jaceres Valerian also died. Of course, hit Rhaenyra super hard. Who is the heir? Who's the one who is supposed to be on the throne after she? So this leads to this is the point where I think of like every episode is supposed to be an escalation. This is the point where the war has changed the trajectory of the kingdom forever, because Aegon's son is dead, and now Rhaenyra's son is also dead. And so that is permanently, this war will have an impact on the line of succession, no matter who wins.
I think that feels like an episode 7 to me.
Yeah.
It feels like the end of episode 7.
Yeah.
So what happened? Episode 8. Oh, of course, we need to write down. So wait, okay. Jace dies, and his brother. What happens to his brother?
Isn't this is also the one where
his little brother?
This is the other one where the other Ceres is kidnapped, right?
I don't think it's King Viserys. It's the other one.
No, the one who becomes.
No, I think King Viserys stays and marries.
Because they think Aegon thinks his brother is dead. Later finds out he was.
You're right.
This
You're
has
right.
to be because he's across the Narrow Sea. It has to be this battle.
This is Aegon the Third. Aegon the Third takes the throne and marries Helena's kid, and this is Viserys who goes missing across the Narrow Sea.
Yes, so this is where he goes missing, I believe.
Prince Viserys. And unless I'm mistaken, Rhaenyra never learns. Neither Rhaenyra nor Daemon ever learned that.
This is also where Aegon is traumatized. I don't know, because they're so young in the show. They're toddlers. I think they might change it. Because Driftmark does get sacked during the battle. It might be the case that they're in the castle, and like he watches it grabbed and trauma. They might change it, or they might just age them up and hope no.
They might also, they might do like a little hand wave, like near the beginning of the season, or even a couple of times. There might be some light, like 1 month to 4 month time skips.
Yeah,
running around like, the Siege of Duskendale has gone on for 5 weeks, Your Grace.
But they finally gave up.
Yes, yeah, and we finally took it. Right, that could be an easy thing to write to make this work. Okay.
This is also the one where we're probably going to get this quote directly, because it's one of the few direct quotes we have from somebody cited in the book. If this be victory, pray I never win another. Arian says after this. He has to say that line. You paid big bucks for a good actor for Corliss Valerian. He's delivering the line.
You got Steve Toussaint. He's gotta do it standing on the bow of a ship. Yeah. God.
And then,
man, this series is good, dude.
The next thing after that is the Battle of Honeywine, which is a fortnight later. That is Reach, I believe. Honeywine.
Other major political shifts happen around.
This has to be. So what I would like to think is 8 ends with some major. I'm looking at the other things that happen on the wiki.
You don't think that any of it is season 8, episode 8 worthy, finale worthy?
I'm looking.
See, I think you must be right. I think you must be right. I think this must be. The Battle of the Gullet must be season 8. It must be episode 8.
Well, no, I think it could be earlier. I think it actually set up to 7. I think they can have a bunch of battles happening all at once and show it from a point of view, because you get Acorn Hall, Red Fork, Lakeshore, you get Honeywine, you get all of this happening all. I think the last episode. I think you can. That is after all those battles. I think you can have one super cut episode. 6 is the Gullet. 7 is the war is now in war mode, and we fighting in the Reach, fighting in the Riverlands, fighting in the Crownlands, fighting in the Stormlands.
Total war, including what battles?
That would be Honeywine. That would be Red Fork, Acorn Hall, and Lakeshore.
Lakeshore is not the fish.
I don't think so. Red Fork, by the way, is where Jason Lannister fights it. The fish, Butcher's Ball, and Dragonstone, and God's Eye, and all that. Dumbleton.
Say. I kind of like that. I like that. That's a very like. That is a very like a poetic and symmetrical end season.
Yeah, the dragons flying overhead, and I think this is a like Escape from King's Landing style episode. I think it's going to be a normal day of politics, and then the first dragon lands, and see like another one coming in, and it's like, holy fuck, we need to get out of here right now. And some of them will make it out, and some of them will be stuck and left behind. It'll be a couple characters who we've seen all season milling about the political shit. King's Landing, far away from any of the fighting, listening in onto reports of, we slaughtered 10,000 people at this place the other day, and being like, good, we've killed enough people. With like some of them being like more distant, what end getting out of this, and the other ones being like, well, taking on Kristen Cole's hardline pro-war stance being echoed even out fighting. There'll be people there saying, this is important, and then all of a sudden, these people who are okay with all this wanton murder are in a position where they are the ones about to be the victims of warfare. They're like, I gotta get out of here! Oh no! I don't want to get burned by a dragon! That's the episode in my mind.
I'm sorry, you left me a little ways ago because my brain was just like, man, every time I go to a Chinese restaurant, it's wonton murder. Zach, I need to go to bed.
This is as far as I
It's perfect.
This is episode 8.
Yeah, that's episode 8. You're and like Larry's Aegon.
Well, I think we see Larry's assume a new identity. Have I ever told you my fucking wild unhinged?
I don't think explicitly. Go ahead.
Larry's clubfoot is
Oh, you have mentioned this before. Yeah.
Because the
yeah.
Septon's sermon, as soon as the dragons are spoilers, as soon as the dragons
Spoilers,
are
spoilers,
slaughtered
spoilers.
in the dragon pit, he goes back to this like incoherent babbling and loses all of his focus. I think he's like a dusty old man, robes and like cosplayed as basically, and because most people never get close to him and just hear sermons from distance, he can put on the act and then eventually sub him in for the actual person, or he can just immediately, as soon as it's no longer politically useful, give like weak ass sermons that scare his crowd away. One or the other, and that is why he goes from so insidious and pointed and able to get people to commit to political actions that have consequences to incoherent old man on the turn of a dime.
The only thing that will stop it is blood.
Yes.
Their blood.
Yes.
God, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so stoked. It's gonna be so good. Zach, we have 15 seconds, and then we can end this episode on 1:11:11. Say something funny.
I think that Larry's Clubfoot will also like do a real assumes the